Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Liz and today is going to be another shopping haul, as you can see from the title, the thumbnail, etc, etc. As you can see behind me, maybe you can, maybe you cannot, and recognize these brands behind me. They are makeup indie brands, meaning they're independently owned, and secondly, they were on pre-order for about 8 to 11 weeks, and that did take pretty much 3 months to get to me. I don't think I would do that again, honestly. I want instant gratification as soon as possible. I can get the item. The whole pre-order, not getting your item until 3 months, I don't know, the anticipation kind of dies away the longer the days go by, and it finally came, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Joey wants to say hi. Say hi, Joey. Say hi. He gives me little kisses. But yeah, I'm definitely on a work in progress. Today is a bulk filming kind of day, so I'm pre-filming about 3 to 4 videos. All these items are items I've purchased well over 3 months ago, and I've just been holding on to them and waiting to collect everything to film. So I can't keep holding him for much for longer because I have to show you guys the rest. But he looks so comfortable. But anyways, let's get into it. So today is primarily 2 makeup indie brands. I just did a huge shopping haul. So 3 of these palettes are from Ensley Cosmetics. The other bulk are from Unearthly Cosmetics, formerly known as Alien Cosmetics. So as far as packaging, they were pretty much packaged the exact same way in a themed cardboard box with styrofoam insert of the eyeshadow palette. I'm not going to keep the packaging it came in, although gorgeous. It does take up a lot of space, and the packaging on the cardboard box of it all is the exact same artwork that's on the actual eyeshadow palette. But I did want to show you just in case you were curious. So the first 4 I'm going to get into were packaged slightly different than the rest of the Unearthly Cosmetics. It was more of a hard plastic mixed with I couldn't tell y'all, but it's definitely more of a hard plastic than the cardboard boxes that came with the rest of the palettes from Unearthly Cosmetics. So the first one is the Sleepover eyeshadow palette. This is what it was packaged in, and it is magnetized. And like I said, it did have hard styrofoam, and it was covered with one little sliver of styrofoam on top. All right, enough talking. Let's get into the actual eyeshadow palette. The next one is the Strawberry Milkshake eyeshadow palette. Specifically why I purchased from Unearthly and Ensley Cosmetics is because a lot of their formulas, their eyeshadow palettes, tend to have multi-chromes in it. If you spent any amount of time on my channel, you know I have well over, I think, 200 eyeshadow palettes. And at this point in the game, I kind of want special shades. So multi-chromes, duochromes, stuff like that. All of these eyeshadow palettes that I'm showing you do contain some type of multi-chrome in them. The next eyeshadow palette from Unearthly Cosmetics is the Fairy Frolic eyeshadow palette. Moving on, the next eyeshadow palette from Unearthly is the Not Normal eyeshadow palette. This kind of reminds me of the Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson collaboration. I believe it was a Beatles collaboration, but this is definitely much more darker and richer in color. So this is the palette I'm comparing it to. This is the Sydney Grace Tiny Marvels eyeshadow palette that was in collaboration with Mel Thompson. Unfortunately, she has since passed away, but I believe they're still selling it, and the proceeds do go to her family. You can kind of see what I'm getting at. Like, obviously they're not exact dupes at all by any means, but the colors is definitely similar. Topaz here, it's definitely more green, but I would compare it to BB. It definitely has the tree hopper here. I would compare it to Basic. Walking Stick, I would compare it to Day Job. Spider, I would compare it to Smoke and Grunge, like a mixture of the two. Some might say it's even a complementary palette. Like Jewel Bee here, it's definitely a matte or a satin, but to like basically Emotions up here, it's like a shimmer shade of that. I would compare Mantis to Sage down here. Okay, so the rest of the eyeshadow palettes from Unearthly Cosmetics was packed like this in cardboard packaging. See what I mean? So it has this tiny little sliver of styrofoam, and the rest is covered in styrofoam. just because these are all packed like this between both the makeup companies. It's very well protected. This is the cardboard cover of it. I don't keep them a lot, 99% of the time. Hopefully it has these exact same cover artwork across all boards. Okay, so this is the Dead of Night eyeshadow palette. This is reminding me, which is of East End, and also the crescent moons. Don't ask me to explain. I don't know, it's just giving very much witchy vibes and just the darkness of the show. The next Unearthly Cosmetics eyeshadow palette is the Laura palette. So this is definitely giving me a fall vibe palette. So I do kind of, again, similar, not exactly the same, but I do want to compare it to the ABH Nervina eyeshadow palette. Again, it's another fall centered eyeshadow palette. Again, on a much huger scale, it's not the same. We're talking about a 9 pan versus, like, I don't know, a 30 pan eyeshadow palette. I'm not counting, y'all. But you can see it's very similar. Do you need both? That's up to you. But anyways, I'm a collector. Let's acknowledge this. So again, it's definitely on the darker end. I would definitely compare C5 to Basilk. I can't say it, y'all. I would definitely compare D5 almost to Serpent, but obviously this is a multi-chrome. It has different shifts. I feel like a combination of E3 and A5 would make Centaur. And Sphinx, definitely compare it to E5 mixed with B4. C4, definitely Mintar. Obviously, they're two different eyeshadow palettes, but the themes are very similar. So the next Unearthly Cosmetic eyeshadow palette is the Grind palette. So the next Unearthly Cosmetics eyeshadow palette is the Leather and Lace. I don't know, the snake print, it hurts my eyes. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. And some of these you can barely see the eyeshadow names. I don't know, it's like giving me like static television mixed with like a snake print, and it's hurting my eyes. I'm sorry, girl, but it is. Moving on to the next Unearthly eyeshadow palette, we have the Devour palette, and I do love the beetle embossings. It's gorgeous. Moving on to the next Unearthly eyeshadow palette, it is the Don't Be Jelly eyeshadow palette, again with the beetle embossings. Moving on to the next Unearthly eyeshadow palette, we have the Dreamer palette. I believe this is one of her most recent releases. Moving on to the next eyeshadow palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, it is the Sorceress Smoke. Moving on to the last Unearthly Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, it is the Fall Magic eyeshadow palette. And just look at that shiftiness. The next three are all from Ensley Cosmetics, so I'm just going to mention the names. So these aren't at all comparable to any previous two fall eyeshadow palettes that I showed you and or in my collection. However, that does not mean it's not a fall palette. You could use it however you please. I am of the opinion I wear whatever I see fit, no matter the season. Within reason, okay? I'm not wearing booty shorts in the middle of winter. I'm just saying color scheme. Like if I want to wear an fall themed eyeshadow look in the middle of spring, I will do that and I don't care. Or if I have, you know, Christmas pajamas, I will wear that all year round. Because why? Because I want to. And why only wear it in 1 month? So that's how I feel. Moving on to the Cold Moon eyeshadow palette. This is just the back of the packaging that it came in. So the sleeve is slightly different than the actual artwork on the eyeshadow palette, which is the only reason why I kept the sleeve to show you guys. It's definitely not as vivid compared to the actual eyeshadow palette artwork. The sleeve of the eyeshadow palette has the ingredients when the actual palette does not. However, the other two eyeshadow palettes do have the ingredients on the actual eyeshadow palette itself, which I think should be customary. But I know some people don't want to ruin the artwork and every company's different. She is gorgeous. This is like, all these I believe are duochromes. Let me see if I can show you the shifty shades of it all. Moving on to Harvest Moon. This is just the packaging. Now this, like I said, the artwork instead of a mirror is there. I preference wise, I would definitely prefer a mirror. Like, I don't need this exact same artwork on the cover on the inside of the palette. That's just like repetitive. I think I might rearrange this one because obviously all these are magnetic from the Ensley range and you can rearrange them however you want. My only thing is my OCD does not allow me to rearrange quite frankly, because it's not like the names don't match up. Obviously the magnetic, the eyeshadows themselves are in magnetic pans, but I know that the names won't match up with the pans, and I just I don't know. I have issues among the rest of my issues, but I think that would bother me really bad unless I just took a picture before and after so I know what the names actually belong to. It's just for my personal use. Like, who cares? I do. I want to move this entire middle row of shimmer shades down to the bottom and swap it with the mattes, just because that's more aesthetically pleasing to my eye, and everybody's different. You can't please everyone, okay? But that's just me, and obviously if you wanted to move it, you could. Moving on to the Lands of Enchantment eyeshadow palette, and the artwork is gorgeous. These are the most beautiful artwork I've ever seen on any eyeshadow palette, and she even managed a mirror. Now, this is almost the last one. However, we did get a freebie with our order. So this is a multi-chrome loose powder. So she is pricey and she was free. So this is the Moon Dust Crystal Skies collection. It did come with the collection that was released with this. And these are the loose powder multi-chrome eyeshadows. And it is in the shade Sunset Aurora. They do retail value for $17. Like I said before in previous videos, these makeup indie brands are typically quite expensive, especially because they're multi-chromes. They're not your standard matte eyeshadow, so they're gonna cost more. So this is her. It has like a little stopper in it. So that was everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched this video all the way through, comment down an eye emoji next to a shadow emoji if you have that. I know my Android does that. So eyeshadow. Like, comment, subscribe because it just makes me say this. And yeah, bye.